Welcome to Game of Roses. I'm Chad Kulchin, aka BachelorClues, aka on this night, SurvivorClues. And with me once again is the fourth place finisher of Survivor Season 46, allergy and wrist IFI specialist, the anti-fire starter, the accidental Applebee's influencer, Liz Wilcox. Thank you for joining me.
I'm pissed. No spoilers, but I'm pissed. Who went home was not who I wanted to go home.
Oh, really? Interesting. I mean, I have to say, like I said last week, like I told you, I'm just kind of getting my feet wet again in the old Survivor pool. But the play we saw tonight, I was blown away by the trickery. Good. The machinations, the backs and the forths. Let's get into it. So we start off portion one. It is day 8. We see water dripping from a vine. Vula tribe wakes up as rain has swept across the island, and Cedric and Mary have their hoods up as they explain that it rained all night and it was terrible there in Camp Vula. That's now down to 3 people that have not won a challenge at all. And we're going to get into what that may mean statistically or historically as we progress through this recap. Cedric ITMs that he's a glass half full kind of guy, even though there's only 3 members left of this tribe and 2 of them hate each other. Talking about Mary and Say. And Say then conscripts Cedric into spelling out Mary on idol hunt in sticks on the beach so that Mary will see it when they come back. It's kind of a little bit of an olive branch, a little bit of a we can play nice together now type play. And we get these 3 shots of some creatures. Oh, by the way, Liz, did you do awards for this episode?
I did.
Oh, shit. All right. Stop me at any time as I'm going through these details if I encounter one of your awards.
Yeah, well, let's stop right now. My creature of the episode goes to the painted pink dolphin on that tribe. So I was watching with friends and they were like, Liz, it has to be a real creature. I was like, no, I just love this pink dolphin on this rock. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. It could be anything you want.
It. So I was like, this is my winner pick for the day.
Fantastic. My creature comes almost at the very end of this episode, so stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned, folks.
Cedric and Say then head off into the jungle to look for their own idol, and Mary ITMs that if anyone needs an idol, it's her, but if she works with Say and Cedric, maybe it won't be a death sentence. She's going to bury the hatchet to work with Say because it's too hard to work against her. And I had this question. Is this thing where like rivals kind of develop some animosity in a tribe, but then once it gets winnowed down to like 2 or 3 tribes people, do they start to bury hatchets? Do they realize we have to work together or we're both dead?
Yes, there was definitely a few votes. I don't think it's any spoiler that someone named Q on my season and I did not get along after a certain point. And there were just some votes where it was like, all right, buddy, I know we kind of are looking at each other sideways, but we need each other to get to the next level. So it's definitely a thing when numbers get smaller. It's like, well, maybe you're not my favorite person, but you might be my favorite person for this vote.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that is really surprising me. And again, I haven't seen this show in about 20 years, but I don't remember on season 1 and 2, the strategies being that cutthroat. Like openly lying to people's face seems to be just kind of what you have to do. Everyone is doing it.
Yeah. And it's funny when you don't, right? When it's like, oh, you're being too honest. This is insanity.
Yeah, exactly. There's a part right here where Mary is ITMing that she can always tell when Say is in game mode because of her game eyes versus her soft and trusting real life people eyes. And this is something in Bachelor, we call it gaze play. And a lot of different players and leads and stuff have certain kind of techniques where they will like lock into you and not blink, or they'll cry or whatever. Is gaze play in Survivor, or at least in your experience, did you find that eye contact was kind of a big deal in terms of sussing out who you could trust or not?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that was something actually season 44's winner said in his final tribal performance was, I could see the glimmer in your eye when you were talking about family, talking about home. And if I didn't see that glimmer in you when you were talking strategy to me, I knew you were lying. And so that was something I had just seen him say that. And the next day we flew to Fiji. Yeah. And so I was paying attention to eye contact. And it's not something I do normally in my real world. Like I'm not staring at you in the eyes, but I was definitely, the more I was lying, the more I smiled and tried to have that glimmer. So people would think, oh, she's just always super excited or whatever. So it's definitely a thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of body language tied up in what you're doing with your eyes in terms of signs of deceit or being truthful or whatever. But I think like in an extenuating circumstance, which Survivor 100% is, they're throwing these people out onto an island with no food, no water, no flint, no whatever. I just feel like it's kind of those body language things. Yes, you can kind of rely on them, but they also might be completely out the window because nobody is in their normal surroundings. And so at least I would kind of take any of their behaviors with a grain of salt, but I don't know.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because I realized right away, like within minutes of the cameras rolling, that my defenses were so up. Yeah. And as the days went on, I sort of had a little bit of an identity crisis of, Liz, this is not who you are. Why did you say that? Why did you act that way? That's not who you are. Or is it, are you really just a monster? Are you really just this awkward and this mean? And do you really what is actually happening? And so I would say that there's probably a sweet spot in the game where you are more yourself, and it's probably somewhere in the middle. I think at first people have their defenses up, everyone's kind of, acting the way they did in elementary school when they felt awkward. And then towards the end, everyone had, fangs out, you're salivating for that million. So it's probably somewhere in the middle where you're actually being your most authentic self.
That's fascinating. I mean, yeah, I just can't imagine in any of these games. Like I coach people to go into Bachelor. I coach people to go into some other games at this point as well. And kind of universally, especially first time players, like when, on your rookie season, whatever that is, like in Bachelor, you step out of the limo and you've done all this training and you know the different game mechanics and you know what you're supposed to do. And you've got this like season long strategy, but then there's 20 cameras on you and lights shining on you, and it just all goes away because you're like, oh shit, what do I do? Is Survivor like that too?
It was like that for me. I had all these, hopes and dreams, and it was mostly for my confessionals because I'm a character. I love to be the center of attention. I was like, oh, I'm going to do music lyrics. I'm going to make up tribe songs. I'm going to do this, all that. I forgot about all of that. And, I memorized a chant, like an affirmations chant that I was going to say to myself every morning. Dude, I remembered that maybe 6 months after we wrapped. I was like, oh, like I found it in a journal. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't do this one. Maybe if I did that, I wouldn't have had that identity crisis I just mentioned.
That is hilarious.
It kind of just all goes out the window.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I tell all the players that I coach for Bachelor the same thing. You need to have like a poem, a song, a stand-up comedy routine, all written and memorized. In some cases, I help write those. And then they go in and they're just like, I forgot it all. All right. Yeah, exactly. So say here, ITMs, that if they stick together, maybe they could do something. And Mary Till say that no matter what happens in the game, they are good. It's kind of an outside of the game promise, They agree to stop fighting. They're going to start working together, and say ITMs that Cedric now has to worry about what the girls are going to do because they're kind of teaming up. We get our opening titles, and then day 8, all the tribes show up to this new kind of challenge site, and you see DL Jeff is there smiling at their displeasure as always. Cíva.
Nipples hard yet again.
I noticed he was wearing a shirt that had very thick pockets to cover his nipples, I think. Specifically.
You know what? Now we're on to you, Jeff. We're on to you.
Exactly. Tribe Cíva and Tribe Loggy get their first look at Vula, who is now down to 3. For the first time, they learn Pizza Justin has been eliminated. DL Jeff is just reveling in this. 2 groups walk in, having the best party of their life. And then there's Vula, he says. So he's just like twisting the knife.
Totally. He's sick for sure.
I mean, I can't imagine there's like anything more fun than hosting Survivor. I don't know though. Hosting Traders I think would be fun too. But
I think it would be, and I'm just as sick as Jeff. This is not a jab at him. I'm watching the show and I'm like, don't give them rice. Let them starve. Like no tribe swap. I want to see it down to one. Like I'm just as sick.
Wait a minute. You last week you said you only ate like 1,800 calories or something the entire time you were there.
I was starving. So if I had to do it, surely they're just as strong.
That's part of like paying your Survivor dues. I get it. DL Jeff then says that the headline of the season is Cíva and Loggy have dominated Vula in all of these challenges. But if you read the whole article, he says you get reminded that every day you're faced with new situations and there's one common thread. DL Jeff then throws to Thomas, what is it on Survivor that you have to do every moment of every day? And he says you have to wake up, ready to go, and be ready for these curveballs. I thought this was a little bit of a mistake. I would have said, you have to gaze into the soulless eyes of the devil-made flesh who is standing before us all right now in a trucker cap and khaki shorts and pretend to not be afraid. But he blew that opportunity, I thought.
He blew that screen time for
he
real.
Really did. Then DL Jeff commands everybody to drop their buffs, and they're going to be switching tribes. Now, is this common, or is it usual that the tribes kind of stay intact until the merge?
In the new era, this is not common. So we're on season 48. I believe, don't quote me, I'm not a super fan. I believe it's only happened twice. So in season 45 and now 48. Mm-hmm. I will say it probably would have happened in my season 46, because we had the same thing happen with our purple tribe, except on day 3, like our episode 3, instead of like Justin going home, my tribe had a medical evacuation. And so they were able to survive another tribal. So it took 4 tribals to get down to 3. But I think if we hadn't have had that medical evacuation, we would have done a tribe swap. Because at 3 with 3 tribes, it's just not fun. There's no way they're going to win. Right. Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of in the Survivor playbook. But so in the new era, the tribe swaps are less common, and that's something fans really love to see. So I could see this week online, people were so excited about the drop your buffs moment.
But it's also like, I felt mechanically there's something in this that, again, I hate the arbitrary nature of it. They literally are just meant to pick random buffs, and now you're on some new team because you picked a color, basically. They could have made the mechanics of this game a little better, I think, where you do a giant challenge for everybody, and the people who come in first, second, and third are now the new team captains, and they get to select team members.
Yeah, I love that idea. They used to do team captains for different things. Maybe I think they've done it, what you're saying, before.
Yeah.
And Jeff gave some BS excuse why they don't do schoolyard picks anymore. I can't remember why. It was BS. So
it's total BS.
In one ear and out the other.
Yeah. The arbitrary thing, to me, it's just like, I don't get a sense of like, well, this is meaningless. Like, you just get slopped together with some team that may be great, may be bad. It's all luck. And it's like, I'm trying to watch this game to see who has the best strategy. It's Survivor, and I guess luck plays a part in surviving technically. But I just wanted to see more like kind of player responsibility for the outcomes of these situations. Nonetheless, we get a new team for Cíva, which is Chrissy and Mitch, who were already on the prior Cíva, and Cedric and Say from Vula, and we get Bianca from Loggy, the lone Loggy member. And then Vula, the new Vula, is Joe and Shaheen and Thomas, the California girls from Loggy, and Kyle and Kamilla from old Cíva. So Vula has no remaining Vula members. All 3, Mary, Cedric, and Say, Vula members are now on other teams. And Loggy, we see, has David and Charity from Cíva, Star and Eva from the old Loggy, and then Mary from Vula. Mary is okay, she says, being the only person from the old tribe. Obviously, she was not doing so well there. And then DL Jeff wishes them luck in getting to know each other. And Shaheen ITMs that it's crazy to have his California Girls Alliance on the same team, and he's optimistic. As was I in this moment. I was like, well, they're obviously going to be great because those 3 dudes seem to be great at challenges, and they have mathematical superiority in the new Vula tribe. what were your thoughts on this reshuffling?
Yeah, I was thinking, I was singing Katy Perry in my head, like California Girls, like all the
Mhm.
way. This is so great. And
Yeah.
I love all of them. Those three personalities are so dynamic, and you wouldn't think that they would mesh, but for some reason they did. And then, uh, who was the fourth person? Is it Camilla who said that she was from California as well?
I think so,
And
yeah.
so I was like, "Oh, wow, like poor Kyle, she's gonna be able to bond so well with them."
Yeah.
But I liked the mixture of the tribes. I liked that Say and Cedric were together because
Mhm.
sweet baby Cedric, right? He's just so trusting and taking things at surface level,
Yep.
which we talked about in last episode, can be a good thing to keep your paranoia down, but you also have to run each scenario and be real with yourself. But Cedric feels like, oh, we're together, we're together. And I'm like, I don't know. And, no spoilers here, but it's clear that Say's trying to look out for herself. So I really wanted to see that dynamic, see if they would stick together, if Say would kind of say, bump you. Now I got four other players I can figure out something with. Right. So that's interesting there. But I know it was random, but I actually really liked the way it played out. And I love Star. And I
Mhm.
feel like she kind of got off on the wrong foot for whatever reason, whether we saw it on camera or not. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, sweet. She's got a second shot here. So I was really excited for Star.
Yeah, me too. She's an interesting figure in this game. And I don't know how much, producing and post and editing of shows comes into play. But generally speaking, like in Bachelor or any show that has kind of a game of attrition in it, the players who make it to the end, who are going to be like your top three generally, they kind of don't give them as much screen time in the beginning because they want them to kind of emerge mid-season and be like, oh shit, I didn't see them coming. And I'm wondering if that's maybe what they're doing with Star. Is she more integral in some of these challenges or in some of these conversations than we are led to believe? Is that possible, do you
Yeah,
think?
it's totally possible. I'm not sure. I mean, there are subreddits and forums out there that talk about, the editing and it's
Mhm.
called edgic, I think, like logic and editing, like who
Okay.
logically is going to win based on this edit. But
Yeah.
sometimes Survivor throws you a curveball. Sometimes they
Yeah.
do that, right? It's like, oh, who is this person? Oh yeah, they did have a little bit of hint, of this and that if you rewatch it. But sometimes they come out of the gate and it feels like, oh, they're so winning, right? They're,
Mhm.
oh, they said something about the end. Does that mean they make it to the end? But even, playing and watching my season and
Mhm.
knowing the winner, I was like, oh, they're giving her a great edit. But then I watched the next season and I was like, I have absolutely no idea. Like, I have a
Yeah.
few hints here and there. Even this episode, someone says something and I'm like, oh, they're winning. And then 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh, they're definitely getting voted out. Like, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
that's just, I'm watching it to enjoy it, not to analyze
Sure.
too much about it.
All I can do when I see stuff like this is try to pull apart the system, find the weaknesses, and be like, how could this be exploited? But I agree with what you're saying about the restructuring of the teams. I thought it was very interesting, especially the fact that no Vula members are now on Team Vula. And so this idea can be tested. Is Vula just a cursed team? What if you
Yeah.
remove all the players from it and put new players on it? Will they still lose? And we get to see, especially some of these players are super strong players, seemingly, up to this point. And then we get to see basically, is that going to happen or not? So our next portion is day 8. We see the new tribes are all coming back to their camp. The first one is Loggy, and Mary's ITMing that this feels like a new life for her. She feels like she hit the lotto. Eva ITMs that it's all girls and one man, who is David. The opposite of her real life. She has no girlfriends in real life, she says, and she's scared without Joe. I thought that was an interesting thing, an interesting admission about her personal life.
Yeah, I loved it though. It's so honest, right? That's what I
Yeah.
love about Eva. She's just an honest player. And
Mhm.
that was something when I went out there I related to. I remember at when they merge everyone, it's not the official merge, they call it Survivor Limbo. And I remember ITMing to the camera, like, I don't care about these girls. These girls will naturally come up to me because I'm another girl. I said, I'm trying to get in with all the men. And then, I literally went to every single man because that's what I felt comfortable with. I've always had a bit of like an aggressive masculine energy about me. And I always think, women, I don't know. I couldn't relate. I did like I own my own business. I've done a lot of like male dominated fields. And so I was glad that they kept that in there because it was so honest. And I think it's just something that some people can relate to. And I love the juxtaposition that David was like, oh, I have 3 sisters. I'm much more comfortable around women. And I was like, maybe they will get together on something. I love this.
Yeah, I loved it too. And clearly, Eva loved it because when David tells everybody that he's a stunt performer, she delivers a full eye, full mouth aperture look of shocked elation that was my
face play of the game.
And they got a great profile shot of it where she's just like, it was fantastic.
Like, I knew it.
Yeah. I really thought Say was going to run away this season and get face play of the game every week. But here, Eva outshined her. Mary also had a good face play when they dropped the buff. She had kind of a tongue out little happy dance moment that I thought was a great face play as well.
Yeah. Mine was towards the end.
Okay. I can't wait. She ITMs then that she and David are hitting it off right away because they're both into jet skis.
I know. I loved that. They're like, you have a stand up. And it just reminds me that on Survivor, especially in those moments where I think Thomas ITM's like, oh, I just did this 8 days ago. It was really hard to connect. And now I have to do it all over again. Like, it's so true. And I think this scene of the standing jet skis really shows that you're grasping at straws. It's like the most awkward first date you've ever been on, but you also want to marry this person, right? It's like, this is the love of my life. They just don't know it yet. Yeah. And so jet skis, no way, right?
Just
and it's
any
just
commonality.
So true. Yeah, you're just anything that you have this commonality with is like, wow, I can't believe it. We're going to the end together now.
Yeah. The jet ski connection.
The broskies, we'll call them.
Eva then waits until Star walks away and she goes to the rest of the tribe basically and says, we got to vote Star out if we have to go to tribal council. And she tells them that she has the idol, but can't figure out how to work the Da Vinci device that contains it. We then see Cíva on day 8. Chrissy is telling all the new members that they have a clothesline and cassava. They're going to have a feast to celebrate the new tribes being formed. And Chrissy ITMs that she and Mitch have to work together to not get picked off by the new Cíva members. Say then ITMs that she's elated to have shelter, all the space. She's likening it to a spa, and she loves their selection of food, the fire, massive upgrade. She loves it. And she says she wanted to get away from Cedric after the last tribal council, but now she's stuck with him again. We then see Bianca ITMing that she's acting confident, but she's panicking inside because she has no original tribe members on this new version of Cíva, and she has lost her vote, which she's not going to tell anybody about. She's looking for the cracks in this new Cíva alliance.
Yeah. Poor Bianca. That sucks about the vote. I think she would be in a good position or a better position if she had her vote, right? Because she's kind of in the middle. She can go whichever way, but I think it actually is better maybe because she doesn't have her vote that she has to look for the cracks, and it's going to be great. She's kind of already seeing that, maybe Cedric and say Arna's tight. So she'll be able to kind of latch on, and hopefully her and Say can pull in somebody else, maybe get Cedric out if and when that needs to happen.
Let me ask you this. This is kind of a mechanical question. When you lose your vote on a journey challenge, how long does that affect? Like, if her tribe never goes to tribal council, I guess at the merge, you have to vote or not vote, right?
So whenever her next tribal is, so, if that's pre-merge, Survivor Limbo, actual merge, that's just whatever her next one is, that's where she'll lose her vote and then she'll have it back.
Okay. And is there ever a possibility in this game to get that vote back?
Before tribal?
Yeah. To like eliminate the non-vote.
Yeah, to null it. Jeff Probst, are you listening? That would be great.
Of course he's listening. He is the devil. He hears all
Right,
of
he
our
hears
thoughts.
it all. The anti-Santa Claus. No, there has never been anything like that.
All right. I was just curious. We see then Bianca goes to Say and asks if she wants to work with Cedric, and Say is like, well, get a vibe from him first. And Bianca's like, there's that crack I was looking for. And so she's already seeing that Say and Cedric have no love for each other. And she's like, I think I might be able to exploit this. We then go to Vula. This was one of my favorite things. They all show up to the old Vula camp, and Joe's like, this camp is bad. Thomas is like, is this a joke? None of the new members coming into the Vula camp can believe how shitty it is, because they never won a challenge. They have no tools. They don't have flint. They have nothing. They're sleeping on just like the ground with a couple of leaves.
Right. There's flies everywhere.
It's so good. Joe has this ITM where he's like, they have nothing. It's like you get dressed and ready in the morning to go to a great house party with your pants pegged, Bo Jackson cross trainers on, and a pager, but there is no house party. And I was like, how old is Joe? That's
Literally,
all very 90s stuff.
I'm like,
you know?
not the pants pegging. And then he said pager. I was like, did they, production from my experience does not like egg you on or ask you to say a certain thing. So I was like, that was legit. He thought he was nailing that. Like he was like, I am eating with this confessional. And apparently production ate it up. They loved it.
I mean, the last house party he went to was 1992. That is what was very clear to me.
Was the headliner,
Poor Sinbad catching strays here tonight. So they do this group chat, and Kamilla says she's 31 from Toronto. Kyle says he's 30, and they're kind of throwing this idea that they don't know each other. He's ITMing that he has an idol and Kamilla has an extra vote, so he's feeling good. Kamilla then ITMs that she and Kyle are in survival mode because it's going to be hard for them to talk to one another without being seen by the California girls who have this massive alliance against them. Kamilla says she didn't do great in the physical challenges and she knew she was on the bottom. She's telling all the players this with charity, and that she hasn't talked strategy with Kyle yet. And this is a lie. And then Kyle ITMs music to my ears. So she's going to lie to them, and I'm going to feed into the lie that not only do we not talk to each other, we're kind of at odds with each other. And they try to make the California girls believe, both of them do, that they will vote with whatever the California girls want to do. So Kamilla makes the California girls think she's down to vote Kyle off. Kyle makes them think he's down to vote Kamilla off through a series of these little one-on-one conversations that they have. And it seems to work because Shaheen at the end of this and Thomas are like, I don't really trust them, but I kind of believe them. I found that pretty interesting.
Yeah, this is my play of the week for sure.
Yeah.
But I can't decide who I think is smarter, Kamilla for coming up with it.
Yeah.
Or Kyle for catching on that quick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both. I'm like salivating. It's so juicy. It's
and
so
it really
good.
Is like they're setting up this play has many pieces that all have to be played in a specific order and correctly. And they set it up here. And it really is in this moment where it's that first group chat of this entire new Vula tribe. And Kamilla says that first lie. That's what starts the entire thing going. And Kyle's like, okay, I'll lie with you. Now they're having their one-on-one conversations, doing all those perfectly played lies, which is acting essentially. And then that will lead to some other things, which is where my play of the game pops up. But I agree. My play of the game is in this chain that has been started here at this conversation. We'll get to it.
I think it's just so genius of Kamilla to just know that, we're outnumbered. So we might as well play what they're going to force us to do anyway, which is, yeah, sure, I'll vote him out. Yeah, sure, I'll vote her out. And for her to catch that, like, I don't know the order, like the time, but really what it is, you come home, the challenge is over, you go into a tent, you see medical, it's one by one, Thomas, Shaheen, etc. Then, but you can't talk. Then you get in a boat, you can't talk. You walk back to camp, you can't talk. Once you get into camp, you start talking. So I have a feeling they just sat down and started introducing each other. So they're it was like she had to have come up with that.
Mhm.
Like, what is going to happen where, 2 against 3, they seem kind of tight. What can I say to immediately have this go in my favor?
Mhm.
And then for Kyle, either he was thinking the same thing or if he was just panicking and was like, oh my gosh, Kamilla, you're a genius.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was like, dang, girl, I wasn't, again, like maybe I wasn't paying attention to you, but now suddenly I think you got a shot, sis.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's also interesting. There are like other components of this. There is the psychosocial element of it, which they're setting up now through these lies to make the other 3 players believe that they will both vote however they want. But there are also these mechanical elements that had to be in place prior to this. There is Kyle having an idol, which he found and successfully decoded and all of that. And there is Kamilla having an extra vote. And we don't know if they're going to have to use these things, if they can withhold these things to maybe be used later. So there's like just a lot of balls up in the air with this, and they play it perfectly. We begin here, portion 4 now. Cíva, day 8. Mitch ITMs that he and Chrissy are working together, but he feels like he connects with Cedric. And we get this moment where Cedric tells Mitch that he also suffered from the time he was 4 with stuttering. This is a mirror stuttering PTC, or personal tragedy card. And it goes a long way with Mitch. He's like, Cedric knows what it's like to walk in my shoes. This is more than just a game for $1 million. He's actually building a bond with him, which, in all of these psychosocial dynamic games, this is always an element of it. It's like, yes, we're playing the game and we know we may have to fuck each other over, but this friendship is real and the connections we're making do mean things to us. Mitch tells Cedric that he never saw somebody who had a stutter portrayed in a positive way. I guess on TV is kind of the implication. Cedric ITMs that he sees somebody who's brave, open to working together. And when he finds these commonalities, it establishes this relationship. And so he wants to work with him. Cut to, and also he's like, he goes, if me and Say play our cards right, we can take advantage of the swap because I trust Say. My loyalty's with her. Cut to Say is telling Bianca, like, you got to get rid of Cedric. He blindsided me twice. I hate this guy.
Literally, I was roaring and I turned to my friend and I said, I don't know how not everyone in the world watches this show because this is absolute top tier comedy.
Absolutely.
Like, you can't write this the way they edit it, the way, you know, the music of it. And he's like, yeah, Say, we're going to go deep. And she's like, bro, you got to get rid of this guy. Like, it's just so funny. It reminded me of in the episode of my season when the Applebee's reward and I didn't get it and I'm crying. They show everyone like eating the reward and I was crying because I wanted the hamburger that was part of the reward and no one even eats the burger and it shows them saying, oh, we're so full and it shows the shot of the burger and then it fades into me crying and just sobbing and I'm like, that's effing hysterical. I mean, in the moment it wasn't because it was my actual life, but in the series it's so funny and it was very reminiscent of that when they're like, yeah, you know, we're gonna get with Say, it's gonna be great, and then she's like, you gotta go, bro. I was like, oh my god, the editors are so hysterical. I love it.
They do it in Bachelor all the time, like every season, almost every episode. They'll get somebody in an ITM to be like, nothing's going bad. This is the best group date ever. It's perfect. Nothing could ruin it. Cut straight to somebody punches somebody in the face or whatever, they do it all the time.
So funny.
We then get Say ITMing that she likes working with strong competitive women and Bianca is there to compete. She wants to work with her because she's a lone soldier and she can see Cedric looking for his own game plan. We then see Chrissy, Mitch, and Cedric are talking in the jungle. Chrissy is worried and Bianca about, the journey that Bianca went on. And she deduces that she either has no vote or a double vote. So she's already kind of trying to gameplay what could have happened out there on that journey. They have some information about what some of the other players have said. And so she's basically saying, we think Bianca is either completely hamstrung or potentially has a superpower in the next vote. Chrissy ITMs that Bianca is from a strong tribe. And when they merge, they're going to start picking people off. It's a no-brainer. They have to vote off a Loggy person. We then cut to Loggy day 8. Eva and David. She's saying, I only work with men. David says he grew up with the sisters and he treats his girl like a princess because she is one. David ITMs that the story of his life is being surrounded by women and he feels at home. He felt sincerity and an honest game coming from them. He's excited to work with all the women of his new tribe. And he tells the women that he has a girlfriend, but she broke up with him because of money issues.
Sweet baby for Nip Dave. We love him so much. We love him so much. David, if you're listening, just holler at me. Babe, I don't care about your money. I just parked.
What about his girlfriend? Does he have one? Does he not? I'm confused.
It's up in the air,
Yeah.
maybe it's an on again, off again thing.
Yeah.
But David, I don't mind, just holler.
Well, he says here basically that she dumped him because of money. So he's here for her. I assume the $1 million is what he needs to get her back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess. Poor guy. I get it. I'm also a provider. I support 3 households and it's a lot of pressure.
Sure.
And so that part I get, but also David, know your worth, my dear, know your worth.
Well, he knows his worth in this tribe because he's cutting wood, starting fires, he's cooking food, and everybody's just like, this guy is great. And then he divulges to us that he doesn't drink water, only chocolate milk, half a gallon a day.
Is that what he said? I missed that.
Yes.
My 10-year-old was being obnoxious the whole time. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, what about water?
He said he hates water.
How much
bland.
Chocolate milk does he drink?
Half a gallon per day. That's a lot in my home.
You're gonna buy your own cow at that point.
Something. I don't know. I'm also astounded. He's in very good shape for a man who drinks no water. But to each their own. He's got his own workout plan, I guess.
And he's 38. That's going to catch up.
Yeah, that is true.
Catch up.
38 was my last good year. I remember.
Oh, don't tell me that. I just turned 37 yesterday.
So you got a whole year ahead of you. It's great. Enjoy it.
All right. I got my water right here. I'm just going to keep sipping.
There you go. Wean yourself off chocolate milk a year early. Charity ITMs that David is playing this nice guy game, but that's not Survivor. She starts strategizing with Mary and Eva, explaining that she and David are thick as thieves and they're willing to go with Eva and Mary if they have to go to tribal council. Charity ITMs that David is Mr. Loyal and all for one, and she can boss him around. And Charity tells Star then, all you have to do is tell David something last minute so that he doesn't have enough time to think about it and he'll go with the vote. And then she ITMs that no one's worried about her. David is a great shield because he's got big muscles and you can kind of kick him around, tell him what to do. And then David ITMs, I don't trust Charity. She's playing the game too hard. And he tells Eva that Charity was going to be eliminated as old tribe. And he ITMs that he's going to take the first opportunity he can to throw her under the bus and get her out of here. So it's another one of these they totally trust me. Yeah. I got him wrapped around my finger. And then they're like, I'm going to fucking kill this person.
I found that so interesting that Charity said, just tell him the plan last minute and he'll go with it. Ma'am. You have not been to tribal council. How do you know that? What are you talking about? Because when she said that, I was like, wait, have they been to tribal? And then I thought, no, they haven't. Yeah. So and I love Charity. I think she's super cool. Mm-hmm. I like watching her. I liked her preseason stuff, but I thought that was incredibly short-sighted and a little too comfortable. And as someone who did not go to tribal until the merge, I never felt that comfortable that I knew exactly who someone was or, I've got them pegged.
Yeah.
So I found that really interesting that she was like, oh yeah, I've got him wrapped around my finger. I'm like, girl, he got on Survivor for a reason, right?
Exactly.
You don't get on there because you're, just hot. You have to be smart too.
You have to have one extra set of nipples and drink a lot of chocolate milk.
You have, to support your milk habit.
Maybe the chocolate milk produced the extra nipples. We'll never know.
Right. So I just thought that was really why are they showing us this other than to show the the juxtaposition again about the two. But is this telling us that Charity is really short-sighted, or does she have like a character arc coming? I don't know. I just thought that was like, whoa, sis, slow down. You haven't even been to tribal. What are you talking about? Last minute plans?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let me ask you this question. When you're in the game, like a big part of the game, I think, is delusional or illusory at the very least, in that you are in this group with these people in your tribe before the merge and all this. And it's like, you're thinking about, well, what's going to happen if we have to go to tribal council? You have to somehow conjure a confidence in yourself that whatever machinations you are working on are working correctly, and that you do know the true intent of the other players. I feel like that's almost a necessity, or you're going to lose your mind.
Yeah. Speaking as the most delusional player to ever play the game, you're absolutely correct. I mean, just Google me, just Google the word delusional, and Liz Wilcox, season 46, final 4 fire making will pop up.
Yeah.
Yes, you absolutely have to have a certain level of delusion. Any successful person has a level of delusion. They see something that others cannot. But it is also important to keep that ego in check and say to yourself, am I running every scenario? Right? Do I actually know David? Right? And so whenever I was like, oh yeah, I know everything, I would ask myself exactly what I said a few minutes ago. Why was this person cast on Survivor?
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I was surprised by my cast, because I never got any votes against me. And I played this really good clown. And I thought, is no one really thinking, why is Liz cast? Do they really believe? And some did and some didn't. That, oh yeah, Liz watches Survivor for the hot guys. She's never really seen the show. Because these are all the things I was telling them. Oh, I've never really seen the show. I watch it with my daughter. Take your shirt off. Like, this is great. Bunch of hot people on TV. This is awesome. Like, did they really believe that, especially in the modern era, where they tend to cast people who really know the game, right? And so that's something I think maybe Charity is forgetting, right? And it's easy to forget. Like we said, the cameras start and everything goes out the window. But that was one thing that I personally tried, because I am just a naturally super confident person. I live in my own delusion. That's how you don't become a rumored billionaire without, a maybe slightly unhealthy level of delusion. But it was always, this is a TV show. They're casting really smart people. What am I missing about this person? What is Charity missing about David that got him cast and would make him a potential winner of Survivor? That was something I was constantly asking myself. And that was how I was trying to get to know people in their, how'd you get cast, or why'd you want to be on the show? Asking questions like that, so I could get to know them and say, oh, this person's out here for this reason. Maybe they'll play this way.
They're like in Bachelor, I ask myself that same question constantly, because they cast archetypes, basically. Like, they need a villain every season, a fool every season, what we call for the right reasons player every season, so on and so forth. And they have maybe a dozen different kind of character types that they cast you specifically to be that character, and then they force you into that mold. Do you think Survivor does that? That they are casting like a fool and a villain and a crazy person and a smart person and a this and a that?
I think they used to, but I think nowadays, I mean, of course, there's all different kinds, but I think they really just want people. They want, number one, really competitive people. They want people that have overcome something, and they want people that think outside the box. I think they tend to be really anti-villain nowadays.
Yeah.
And something that Jeff said, I don't know, in the last year, is we're looking for well-rounded players. We're not looking for those archetypes so much anymore. We're looking for people that, one episode could be a villain and the next episode you're rooting for them. And so I don't know. I mean, some people wish that they would cast more of the archetypes. And I'm sure they could just edit it to be that. But I think they really are looking for nowadays someone who's well-rounded, someone who is going to leave the game and not be emotionally wrecked, because this is like very easy to be. So I think they really care about their players as people. Versus maybe 10 years ago where it was like, you're the villain, Liz, you're going to be the clown, they want someone who's well-rounded and who's going to be able to handle their edit, et cetera, and handle the game. So I've never obviously been part of the casting other than, being a player, but I think from what I saw in my casting and from each and every one of the players and the edits, they're really looking for someone who's just really well-rounded and is going to go out there and surprise them versus we're going to pigeonhole you to this.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's a better way to cast shows, and I think they should do it if Bachelor still will exist a year from now. I hope they do that. Then we see portion 5 is the challenge. They all come in and Shauheen and Kamilla are like, this is going to be the first Vula tribe win because we don't have any of the dead weight of the old Vula tribe. Now we're this new, strong Vula tribe. And here's the challenge. They have to remove heavy sandbags from a giant wireframe cube, which they must then roll in through the sand to use as a ladder to climb up to get 2 sandbags hanging from a post, which they will then throw through a small frame in an attempt to land the sandbags on top of a barrel without knocking over the same frame. Once that's done, they will then dig up an unrelated puzzle piece, which they will use to solve a 3D pyramidic puzzle. Simple.
Yeah, no big deal. And honestly, y'all, if you aren't watching this on YouTube, I am like animating as Chad is talking, and you need to watch that. It's like so fun. I'm having a great time. So
yes. If you're just listening to this, watch it on YouTube.
Subscribe, leave a comment. This looked so fun. I was like, oh my gosh, this would look so fun because it was hard. Without being scary. Some of the challenges out there, it's like jumping off a high dive and, whatever. But it was scary when I think it was Thomas was in front of the cube as they're pushing it towards him. And I was like, homie, did you learn nothing from Bianca giving you a black eye?
Yeah.
Like, that you're going to get trampled. So that did feel a little scary, but it looked fun. It was just little phases. The giant cube, I haven't seen anything like that in a long time, I feel like. So that was really fun. And then the 3D puzzle, I would have been out. I would have failed miserably. We would have been.
That looked hard. I was surprised. None of the teams seemed to move that cube directly in the middle of the 2 hanging bags that they had to get so that you wouldn't have to reposition it. You could have just had one person climb up it and get both bags in one shot.
Yeah, hindsight, what they say, 2020. I think they do give you a little time to strategize before. I mean, it's not this never ending countdown, but it's, you get a couple minutes like, oh yeah, you guys are going to do this. We're going to position the cube. But sometimes that shit just don't go down. It's like, oh, this is way heavier than we thought. Like, it's just, let's just push it. And wherever it lands, we'll have to push it again. So, and especially these people just kind of met each other. So it's kind of like the first challenge all over again.
Yeah.
After you have a few challenges, you can kind of, Liz gets really frazzled if the plan changes. Let's make sure, she's happy. But this is the new thing again, like a new challenge. So it's like, maybe they had that plan and it just, there wasn't anyone willing to like, hey guys, don't forget, cause they don't want to get voted out in case they lose. So it's like, whatever. I'm not going to say anything cause I don't actually know these folks.
Right. You don't want to rock the boat. Yeah. Makes sense. Well, Vula gets out to an early lead. They're dominating the whole thing. They're jumping around. They're digging in the sand. They're the first to the puzzle, but they're the last to finish it. Unfortunately, they lose. And Vula now, despite the fact that it doesn't even have the same members, any of the same members that it started with, they still did not win a challenge. Is this a cursed team?
Yeah, why not?
It's like the Boston Red Sox up until, 2004, they won the World Series. I could not believe this, that they had such an immense lead. And it does seem to me like the puzzles really are just about having as much time as you can. And if you get to the puzzle first, it seems statistically very likely to me that you will win. And here the exact opposite happened. They were overcome by both teams, including Loggy, who seemingly could not get the sandbags through the little thing without knocking over the frame.
Yeah, that was so interesting. I was surprised too, because they all seem like smart people. Yeah. But again, I was so bad at puzzles. The very first thing I ever said to my tribe, it was when we were strategizing at the first challenge, what I was just talking about, where they give you a few minutes. And I said, if you want to win, do not put me on that puzzle. And honestly, I wish they would have recorded that, because I think it endeared people. Like, people said to me for weeks, Liz, that made me know you were an honest person, because you weren't trying to front. You just wanted to win, and you just told us the facts. So it's surprising, but then again, like, sometimes you just don't get the puzzle. Sometimes, didn't they get it, but it was wrong? They
got the shape right, but I think the placement of the painted sides was slightly off.
The painted side was wrong. Yeah. So it seemed like they got a little too confident. Like, we've got time. We're rushing. But this is something I tell my daughter, and I've told her since she was little. You have to slow down to speed up, right? If you want to go fast, you're probably going to fail. If you slow down just for a second, you're going to be able to see what direction you actually want to go. So maybe it was just they were going so fast, like, yes. Yeah. And then it was like, no.
Well, clearly nobody told Dark Lord Jeff to slow down, because he was sprinting around these pyramids as fast as he could, like an Olympic level sprinter, to make sure that everything was in the proper place. And I am again just reminded, this man is 63 years old.
He sure is.
Will he be 73, sprinting around pyramids in the burning sands of Fiji?
Literally, celebrities have so much more access to awesome stuff to keep their muscles going. Like, y'all, after this, pause the show right now, pull up a new tab, and Google NAD. That man is on it. He's got to be on it. NAD is like an enzyme that as you age, it goes away, but they've somehow isolated it. They can create it in a lab. I don't know. And you can get injections. I get one once a week. It's a miracle drug.
What? What does it do?
It just, it's like an anti-aging thing.
Do I need to get this?
Dude, everybody needs it. But I'm telling you, celebrities that look so good, and you're like, oh, they must have had plastic surgery, but it doesn't look like they've had plastic surgery. I'm telling you, they have NAD. But back to Survivor. I wanted to give Jeff a special shout. I literally wrote down this line, because what's the tribe that ends up winning, gets first place?
Cíva got first place, I believe.
Cíva.
Let me look back through my notes. No, Cíva wins second. Sorry. Loggy comes from behind to win the whole thing. Cíva wins second. Yes,
that was so epic.
Yeah.
Jeff says, get up and celebrate. I just loved that line, because normally, I mean, we're joking about he's this evil overlord, and his nips are hard for the suffering. I mean, I'm talking about that. That's not. But
I agree with you.
I loved that line. He was like, "Get up and celebrate! Loggy wins." I was like, okay, Jeff has a heart.
He has a love for the game. There's a reverence for the game that he commands, and I think that is. It's crucial in this era of reality television that your host has reverence for the game they are controlling. Alan Cumming has it in Traders. Clearly, Dark Lord Jeff has it here. I would even say Dark Lord Harrison in Bachelor had it for a time, but you could see the fire in his eyes was gone unless there was like some horribly traumatic suffering. Oh, my camera turned off.
How funny. So if you're sure.
Let me just see if I can get my other camera on.
Are we going to edit this out? Because if you're not, I just loved honestly, you should keep it, because y'all, if you're not watching the YouTube, he said something about the light in his eyes was gone, and then the camera went off. It was really poetic.
Here's my other camera. Okay, let me just make sure all this is going still. I think it is. Okay. I think we're okay.
It's recording on my side, so.
Yeah, it's recording here too. Just my camera turned off. Sometimes it overheats, the one that I use for this. Yes. So I was saying, Dark Lord Harrison, the light in his eyes went out, and then he literally reached through the ether and turned my camera off. Terrifying stuff, ladies and gentlemen. These Dark Lords have some powers.
They sure do. Wow, those networks. Network television hosts, beware.
Listen, I'm saying. All right. So the losers come back, and Shaheen ITMs that they made an error. They should have had Kamilla on the puzzle instead of on the mat, but he feels good with the alliance. He doesn't think they have anything that's going to stymie them. He's talking about the California girls, and he's like, we're basically just going to roll this. We just need to pick. Is it going to be Kamilla or Kyle? And we see all these different conversations that they're having one-on-one. They go off to each one of them talks to Kamilla, each one of them talks to Kyle, and even Kyle and Kamilla get a little one-on-one time here to talk to each other. The biggest thing that comes out of this is Shaheen digs through Kyle's bag while Kamilla is sitting right there looking at him, and he's looking for an idol, which he does not find, but it is in the bag. He simply didn't look in the right place. Now, is this permissible? I mean, he's just, you can dig through other people's stuff.
I dig through everyone's bag at least twice. Now, I will say some viewers find that to be super dirty. But let me tell you that if you're listening and you're like, ew, Liz, you just turned me off. It's $1 million, bub. Yeah. Grow up. Like, it's $1 million and Survivor lets me dig through the bag. And guess what I'm doing? Because if I didn't dig through the bag and he has an idol and I go home, guess what? That's going to haunt me the rest of my life. And you judging me will not. Okay. So I'm looking through the bags. Now, some players find it to be so dirty they wouldn't do it, but again, I'm playing for $1 million.
Yeah,
I mean, do you know how long 1 million seconds is? It's like days. Like, that's a lot of freaking money. Like, screw you. I'm already dirty because I don't have a bath. Might as well go through the bag. So when he went through the bag, I was like, yes, let's go. And I couldn't believe, I was waiting because you could see Kamilla's face. That wasn't my face of the week. I'm going to change it. What is it? Face play of the week. It's Kamilla's face when he's looking through the bag because she's just trying to have a poker face. But we talked about this, 20 minutes ago? It's the eyes. Her eyes are like, oh my God, be cool, Kamilla, be cool. How are you going to play it when he finds it? You know, how are you going to, how are you going to play this? So she's already running scenarios. That's my face play of the week. I changed my mind.
Oh, that's great.
And when he doesn't find it, I gotta say, as a viewer, I was let down. I was like,
too, a little bit, because we knew it was in there, or maybe it was on his person. That was the only other. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. He must be holding on to it because I know everyone on my season that had an idol. They said they always kept it on them. It was never in their bag. And I said, well, that's super smart because I was going through your bag, and they said, I knew you were, you squirrely ass bitch. Like, we knew you were up to something. There's no way you were just sitting around camp. You're too smart for that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We get the tribal council here, Vula, once again taking their place in tribal council, and we see Shaheen walks in and he's kind of taking it all in, and he ITMs, part of Survivor, like the legacy of it is going to your first tribal council, but it also sucks. It's like seeing it is very cool. It's like, I can only imagine like walking onto a Major League Baseball field or something for your first at bat, but it also means somebody in your tribe is going to get voted out. And we don't know who that's going to be. We don't know if these plans of Kyle and Kamilla are going to work. We don't know if the California girls are going to keep their alliance. We have no idea what's going to happen here. Dark Lord Jeff has these various questions he's throwing out. How has it been? Is it tight or is it open, the conversation? And Shaheen is like, sometimes what's on the surface is right there, meaning the three loggy are tight. They're going to take advantage of that if they can. He asked Kamilla about her strategy. She says she tried to offer something. She tried to call the puzzle, and that's where they failed. She couldn't find a crack. So I'm basically agreeing with the California girls to vote off Kyle. And then Deal Jeff says, Kyle, you're surprised by that? And he's like, nope, we have some commonalities. We're kind of friends. We're both Guyanese, but I get it. I'd be doing the same thing if I was her. And he asked Joe if there was any talk amongst the guys about who they were going to vote off. And he's like, well, it's more challenging than anyone can imagine. But yes, we had to talk about it. And
I'm just rolling my eyes. I'm sorry.
No problem.
That was such a stoic answer. I just don't care for the stoicism. It's $1 million. It was not hard. Like what? Like that's so BS. And also, I mean, you got to play a little bit. But they really had no clue Kyle had an idol, obviously.
Yeah.
So, like, it's pre-merge. You don't have to be stoic because that person is not going to vote for you at the end. They can just go. So I was never like, oh, this is so hard. It's like, you known that person for what, 24 hours? Joe, girl, be real. Like, you're so full of shit right now. Like, it's like, I didn't poop for 22 days and you are more full of shit than I was. Okay. Like it was not hard, bro. Like, get real. Get real. I will say also, switching gears, going back.
Okay.
You mentioned that Kyle said, oh, we're both Guyanese. And I thought, oh no, Kyle, you're blowing it because he was, we joked about the jet skis. Like if the jet skis can bond you, like being the same nationality, are you kidding me? Like if I heard that and I was part of the California girls, that would be maybe a yellow, maybe a red flag of like, wait,
interesting.
We're both Guyanese. And the way he was saying it, like he was not selling it for me. And so that would have that's where Thomas, because he said, I'm not going to play my secret vote or whatever, steal a vote unless something freaky deaky happens. That would have been a ding, ding, ding. Wait, you're both Guyanese? Why did I not know that?
And so, well, let me ask you, about the stealing of the vote, because this is, well, let me get to the end of this, how this all shakes out. And then I have like 3 plays in a row, basically. So DL Jeff is asking them just kind of like some other generic questions about like, is 9 days enough for you? If you've like come to the game, 9 days is a long time, but it's not the end. And everybody's like, yeah, I don't want to go home, but I've learned things and I have friends. And DL Jeff asked Kamilla what she's proud of after she plays this PTC, along with tier play, by the way, that she basically says everybody underestimates her, and she's learned that she's the one who underestimates herself the most. And so she says she's proud of the connection she's made and feeling like they're really friends. I thought that was a generic answer, obviously, but she can't, like you're saying, she can't give a real answer here because it might give away the play.
Right.
So we have time to vote. Or Shaheen actually says nobody comes out here that's not a fan of the game. They all want to win. And DL Jeff asked Thomas about the snuffing of the torch, and he's talking about all the symbolism about the fire represents your life and you get killed here. And he's talking about friendships and insights, overcoming fears. He says he's glad to be there. He knows they're going to take something away from this, but he thinks they've all been given just the gift of being on the show, which I believe is accurate as well. Time to vote. Kyle is up first. He puts his vote in the basket, and we see a serpent sticking its tongue out in the night, a snake just there at the tribal council. This snake is Dark Lord Jeff in his natural form, licking the air, tasting the suffering of everyone in the new Vula tribe. And this serpentine form of the Dark Lord himself was my creature of the week. We see Shaheen voting for Kyle. He's the only vote we see. So we know that that's the way the California girls are going to go. Kamilla does a nice lip quiver move, I thought. Very good face play while they're waiting on the votes to be tallied. And DL Jeff comes back with the votes, and he asks for advantages or idols. Kyle plays his idol, and this was my play of the game. And I have this question for you. We know that Thomas has this vote steal. What does that actually do? And when can he play it? Is this when he would play it?
Yeah, I can't remember. I should have Googled it. I knew you were going to ask me because even as I was watching it, I'm nothing if not real.
Yeah.
Okay. Even when he played the idol,
I
literally said out loud, can Thomas play his steal a vote right now?
Yeah, I didn't get it.
I think, God, I cannot remember. And I know you're going to get like a bunch of emails and comments. it's either he can play it right then and has to do it openly, or he has to do it like they would ask him before, or like at the, they would have to, it has to be played live. Otherwise, production has to ask him, like they call it lockdown, like when we're not allowed to talk, when we're moving from from camp to tribal, he would have to tell someone, hey, I want to steal Chad's vote. And then Chad comes up to the booth and it says, you have no vote tonight. But that feels more complicated.
Yeah, it almost feels like you could do it. It would have
to be before,
like during, or maybe, yeah, because it's too much of an advantage to let you play it after the vote has been tallied, because then it's like, well, I don't need to, or oh Jesus, I really need to. It's too much information that you would get from that. So it does feel like it has to be played before the vote, at least before it's tallied. I don't know, but the idol was my play of the game, and Thomas not stealing a vote was my error of the game. It would have saved him.
Yeah. Actually, I think the steal a vote is done like during the voting. I just Googled it, y'all.
Okay. I see.
I think it's like if you steal a vote, it might be also an extra vote. Like I steal Chad's, and so I now have it and I can vote twice.
Right. So we see what happens here. Obviously, Kyle's idol makes all of the votes that were against him, which were all of the California girls, all three of them, invalid. And then we see Kyle and Kamilla's votes are both for Thomas, and so he gets kicked out. So if Thomas had taken one of their two votes and switched it to any other name, you're now in a tie situation, which I assume then what happens in that scenario, it would be who gets to vote then.
Yeah. So if it's a tie, Kyle's votes are negated, right? Because he played the idol, right? That's what you're saying?
I think so, but his vote wasn't negated.
Or I'm sorry, the votes against him are negated. So whoever else's votes.
It would be whoever gets voted for, I think. I mean, this is how they did it last week. So it would be like there would be one vote for Thomas that Thomas did not steal. Then the other vote would be whoever Thomas votes for with his stolen vote.
Right. So hopefully he would have voted for someone else.
Of course. Yeah. I don't think he would have voted for himself. He probably would have voted for Kamilla. So you would have.
I mean, like, hopefully he didn't put two votes on Kyle and then it's just kind of a waste.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you, like, when you're stealing the vote matters in this case. I don't know how that would have worked, but it was my error because we'll never know how it would have worked now in this given situation. And I think that was his only chance to stay. I mean, it might not have even saved him, but at least would have given him some capability to maybe make that maneuver. Nonetheless, Shaheen here can't believe it. The California girls are no more, or they're at least down to two now. And Thomas demands a hug from all the remaining California girls. He gets his hugs and he tells Kyle and Kamilla, well played. And then DL Jeff takes out his turtle and puts out his fire forever. And Kamilla didn't even play her double vote. She didn't have to.
Yeah, this is my error of the week. Is that Kamilla voted with Kyle and not against him, because now she has to go back and explain that, oh yeah, Kyle and I are together. If she could have voted against Kyle, she knows Kyle's playing the idol, so she knows it's a throwaway vote. She's throwing it away. But it would have saved her what we're going to see next week, I'm sure. Ooh, Kamilla is a snake. She lied to us.
Right.
And now when they get, unless they keep losing, when they get to the merge, if I'm Joe, if I'm Shane, I'm telling everyone, Kamilla is an effing mastermind. Here's what she did.
Wow.
And so if she voted for Kyle, I vote to Kyle goes home, they never would have known. Right.
You're so right. It's such a good long game to play
of the game, because she played it perfectly up until that I thought all the votes were going to be against Kyle. I could not believe she voted Thomas. I was shocked I was like, girl, you had this in the bag. Like,
God, you're
what?
so.
Now everyone knows.
Yeah, I was thinking it didn't matter because she has that double vote, and so they can run the table now. They can get rid of all of the California girls if they want to. It's just like a numbers game. But I didn't even stop to think about like the long game of it is like really what matters. Once you get to that merge, it's like you've got to now go through. When do they usually merge? Then there's maybe like 10 people left.
I think it's like day 12. So they've only got a few more days.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what you've really got to be looking
that'll be super fresh in their mind. Oh,
totally.
Kamilla lied to us so well. Kyle and Kamilla lied to us so well. They've got to go. They're a power couple, right?
Damn. Well, nonetheless, Kamilla for this game anyway was my MVP because I was just blown away by everything she did, basically, from the lies to the correct plays to the withholding of that extra vote. She has that to use whenever she needs to use it. And what you're saying may be true about like the long game of this. She might have already like hung herself, but I just was blown away by everything she did in the game tonight.
Same. I really was very, very impressed. I mean, even with the, error of the game, she did so amazingly that she's still my MVP.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, that wraps up the recap of this episode 4 of Survivor Season 48. I'll be back next week. Are you going to be here, Liz, next week as well?
I will. I'm having so much fun.
As am I. This is great. Well, Liz will be here. I will be here. Please join us. I hope that everybody else out there will be here with us to keep recapping everything that's happening in this season, which I'm absolutely loving so far.
Bye, friends.
Please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast. Please get a friend to listen to us, and then please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast.